Yo, hello everyone. I'm back again, and in this video, we're gonna be going over configuring Neovim, and we're gonna go over my Neovim config, which you can find this repository. You can see in here in this folder. This is gonna be all of my Neovim config that we're gonna go over, and let's jump right into it. Okay, and this is a configuration for Neovim, and it's written in Lua. So whenever you have your Neovim configuration, it should also be under this directory, which is on Unix systems. Not too sure about Windows, but I know on Unix systems it's under your home directory .config/neovim or nvim. And this is where all my Neovim configuration is. So we're gonna go over all the plugins I use, the Keymaps, and the theme that I use. So in here, you'll see that there is an init.lua file, which is gonna be the starting point for our configuration. And of course, for Neovim, all the config is gonna be in Lua. So yeah. The first thing that you'll see here is app leader, which is this leader key is just for key bindings. So most of the time you'll see leader like this. You'll see them in key bindings where it's usually you press leader and another key, and it just makes it so that there's less overlap within key bindings, and it's easier to remember key bindings. So I have leader set to space. I'm going to be looking at this a bit later. So yeah. The second thing you see is a requirement. Impatient. So impatient is just another Neovim plugin that makes other plugins load faster. So we'll get into this later as well. And this line, it requires the NYC wrap. Most people doing Neovim configuration, they'll use like their username. This is just my GitHub username. So it's under here in the Lua directory. That's the NYC route. And whenever in Lua you require a directory, it will pretty much run the init.lua file in that directory. So in here in Lua, see NYC route and init.lua. So run this file. In this init.lua file, you'll see that we require options. So you can also require a file, and it will just run that file. So in options, you'll see that I have just a bunch of options here that I think work for me in Lua, right? In Neovim. And I just have them in a Lua table, and I run like a for loop that just sets each vim.option to whatever value that's in here. So again, I'm not going to go over all of these options and look over them yourself. And I would say you can just like copy paste this. So options, usually most people have about the same options, right? So stuff like, how far a tab should be, how big a tab is. If you do auto indent here, and you'll see that when I go to the next line, it's already indented. I'll do stuff like that. We'll go back to the init.lua and we'll go over the plugins. Pretty much everything in here is just gonna be a GitHub repo link, right? And the repo should contain a Vim plugin, and then you can just install it by putting it in here. So that's what Packer does. So the first plugin you'll see, again, it's Packer itself, and this plugin is just like a helper plugin. It just provides like utils for other plugins. So for us, it doesn't do anything. It just helps the other plugins. Same thing with Vim repeat. It just helps within some like interactions with other plugins. Again, the divicons, this is just like, you know, if you see in here, there are some like icons, like you see this folder, this arrow, and this stuff. That's pretty much what this does. It lets you have these like icons. Next thing is, this is one of my plugins. Again, all this does is it lets you jump to files, and you can write stuff, I guess. It's like to-do lists or whatever. So again, this is kind of like a thing I made just because it's useful for me. I wouldn't think most people would need like a plugin like this. Same thing with this. There's just another plugin that I made for like switching between fonts. Again, I'm not even using like a graphical interface for Neovim, so this does not even work right now. It doesn't even work. But this is plugin for Neovim LSP. The LSP is like the reason, you see, if I type in some random stuff, you'll get some syntax highlighting. You get like, you can see that there's an error. I can hover this, and there's also like autocomplete like this, right? Though this is not the main autocomplete like plugin I use. I just like it for the inlay hints, like this thing right here. This is unexpected expression, right? The actual plugin I use for like auto completion and most of the other like LSP stuff is this one, CLC. It's Conquer Completion, and this is an easier way to set up like language servers and stuff and have like auto completion and everything like that working. So so this is the main plugin I use. Next one is Vim Prettier. I think this is like a formatting. Yeah, formatting. I'm actually not using this really for formatting. The main plugin I use for formatting is this one. It's Neo Format. So again, if I have my stuff stacked like this, I call it Neo Format, and it will format like code for you. So it's like an auto formatter. So I'm not even using this. This plugin, Comments, is a commenting plugin. So if I run like, you know, I select some text, I type GC, it will comment it. Right? That's how you comment in Lua. It's like 2 dashes. So if I type GC, it will just comment stuff. And when I type like GB, it will comment with like the block. And yeah, it's super useful. And it will have, of course, different commenting depending on the type of file you're in, right? This next plugin, Auto Pairs, it just makes it so if I type in parentheses or quotation marks, it will add in like an extra pair, so I don't have to type it in manually. So it makes it a bit faster. These two we won't mind. These are just like specific things that will that gets like the comment to recognize different like file types and stuff. So we won't worry about these. Neo Format, again, used for formatting. Tree Sitter, this plugin, like if I disable this right now for highlight, you'll see that we don't get some of the syntax highlighting that we otherwise would get. And it helps again with like other stuff. Comes to, let's say, tree sitter context, you'll find, let's say, the function we're in. So you see here at the top, this like plugin recognizes that we're in a function, and the tree sitter context, this shows it at like the top here. It's like so if I run like 33 up, you see that we go to the start of the function, it will always show this we're in the function. That's pretty much what that does. Leap by Neovim. This one I don't particularly use this that much. What it does is, let's say if I press S and I want to go down here to surround, I type SU, and then here it says F, and type F, and it jumps there. So usually I prefer just to move around with like regular Vim movements. I just have this, and I sometimes use it, not too much. And then surround, this is for working with, let's say, quotation marks or parentheses, stuff like pairs of stuff. So let's say I wanted to change these double quotes into single quotes. I go like CS, double quotes, single quotes, and it will select, let's say, single quotes, and I can change to double quotes. So this is sometimes useful for doing stuff like that. This plugin is a file tree. So I have a tree. It is this thing right here. So I have a key binding to leader tab. Just opens up the file tree. You can go around, navigate files, and enter files, and delete files and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty useful. Git work tree. I would be real, I don't even use this. I don't know why this is here. I just haven't used Git work tree that much. So yeah. Telescope. This is a pretty good plugin. It allows for like file navigation to, like, let's say, fuzzy finding. So let's say I want to go to init.lua. You can see all of the init.lua, so I can search for them. I can go, I'd have a preview, and I can press enter to just jump to them. I can search for options, right? So it's a fuzzy finder. You can jump to files, and also fuzzy finds like words. So let's say more app. You can search for all the instances where a word pops up. And same thing with this. It's just a plugin for Telescope, where like fuzzy finding actually uses FCF instead of what it does normally. So yeah. Harpoon, there's a plugin that lets you jump to files that you've marked. So let's say I'm on, like, I open here. This contains all the files I'm marked currently. If I have it key binded, so if I go leader 2, it just jumps to that file, right? Like, let's say LSP, it jumps to this file. If I go leader 2, jumps to the second file, leader 3, and it can be pretty useful when if I'm working on a project. There's specific files that I visit often. I just mark it, and then I can jump to that file. So these are some good plugins. I don't really even use these two that much. LazyGit I do use. So if I open up LazyGit, you see that it's like a user interface. You can press some keybinds. You can add files for stage. You can stage files. You can commit, and whatever. And then you can manage a bunch of Git stuff. And it's pretty useful. Here's some writing plugins again. We're just not gonna go over this. It's usually not used for like code editing. Vim Be Good as well. Vim Be Good, it's like a bit of a game. We can practice Vim. So like, let's say this, you just jump, delete different words, and this is like, it's like a game sort of, and it helps you like improve it. So whatever. Undo tree, it shows all of the changes you've made to the file. So if I say go here, I can see what I've done before. I see, oh look, I stacked these, I formatted this, commented this, and you can go back and you undo to certain points. Okay, right, Lua line. So this is what's at the bottom here. So you see it shows what mode I am currently in, shows the file I'm in. This is just something I set up, shows the number of words, shows the files and like where you are in the file and such. And without this, I'm pretty sure you should still see this if you don't have this plugin, but it just looks nicer with Lua line. Indent blank line is this thing right here. So you see how there's nothing here, but you see a line, right? And it just shows each indent. So if I indent line disable, you see that the lines here disappear. Let's see, indent line enable. See, we see a line for each indent. Impatient, this is just a plugin that I think makes your Neovim load faster. Not sure how well it works, but I just have it installed, right? CCC, I'm pretty sure this is this one. So if I go Avid Keybind STL, it's kind of like a visual thing where you can go see colors, and it will create files. So this is create like a color. This is like hex code, right? This is really useful in like CSS. And go here and edit the colors, and it will put it there. And it'll also show the color inside of the editor. So you can see, like, if I look at this, if I have a CSS file open, and I see this, I can tell it's like sort of blue, right? If I have this and I make the color like this, I can tell that this is like red without even having to read like the hex code and such. I see that, you know, this is red, this is blue, this is black. So it shows the color as well. Spell sitter is just something for like, you know, like I said, Vim, you can see the spelling. So if I said like thin, thing, word, and if I misspell a word, if I comment this out, you see if I misspell a word, it'll be like underlined. I don't know if this is the specific plugin, but I think it helps with that. TS Rainbow, this plugin just colorizes different like brackets. So you see that every bracket has a different color depending on its level. That's what TS Rainbow does. And then Spectre, I don't even really use this, but I think this is like a search and replace plugin. So if I use this, I search like Spectre, and I get this whole thing works, right? It'll replace every instance of Spectre with this thing. I guess that's just how it works, right? And we'll search like every file and such. Yeah, don't really use it that much, but it's sometimes useful. And now we have all the color themes. So these are some of the files color themes I used before, right? These are some good themes. Right now, I do use Rose Spine. So this is the actual like original Rose Spine theme. But I didn't like some of the colors, so I have just kind of copied a bit of it, and I'm just using my own like low version of Rose Spine. So yeah, And then at the end, so that was all my plugins I use. That's a lot of plugins. Most of them are not really necessary if you want to use Neovim. I'd say half of them are like I use once in a while. So you know, kind of have to pick and choose which plugins are actually gonna be helpful for you. So yeah, that's Packer. Which, by the way, I want to mention, when you put stuff like here, like this with Packer, you do need to run Packer sync, and it should make sure that you have all the plugins installed and updated. And then only then will your plugins work, by the way. Anyways, it's Rose Prime, but I used to use some of these other color themes as well. And here I just call the config, so I call misc config, and this calls a bunch of other configuration, and these are just some like random configuration with all the specific like plugins. I won't go over all of them because they are very specific for the plugin, and most of these are just copy and pasted from the README of the plugin, so you can go through the plugin of, you know, any plugin that you're using, go through the README. They'll probably have like a configuration for it. Okay, what else do we go over? The Keymaps. Yeah, let's go over Keymaps. Okay, so this is just a file that contains like some code that makes it easier to keymap. So in Vim, with like Vim script, it's much simpler, I would say, to to just keymap. In using Lua, it is a bit more complicated. You have this like vim.keymap set, this operator left hand side, right hand side, not operator, but like which mode you're in and options and stuff. I would just copy this file, right, for any configuration, and when you're using the keymap like this, I'll show real quick, you can require it from the file. So this require, I want to see .keymap, you'll see in the file tree, it is in this keymap file, right? This is the file, right? We can return an object or a table in Lua with all these functions, where if you just call the function, the first part of the keymap is what you actually like press, and then the second part is what gets executed when you press that keymap. So for example, like this Control L, when I press Control L, it runs Control W, Control L, which moves my cursor across files, right? So that's an example of the keymap. So this is a very useful file, and of course, each keymap is different for each like mode. So for example, this JK keymap, I have it run. If I press JK, we enter normal mode, right? It just presses escape. And notice these say N no remap. This says I no remap. So this map works in insert mode. That's what the I stands for. So if that's why if I press J in insert mode, it sort of has a delay because it waits to see if I press JK, right? So this works in insert mode, but if I'm in normal mode, when I press J, there's no delay because this only applies to normal, to insert mode. Same thing with nnormap, only works for normal mode. vnormap, it only runs in visual mode, right? So yeah, let's go over some of the key maps that I use. So the first key map that I use is gonna be JK, and this works in insert mode. And the reason I have this is just because I find it much faster to go into normal mode when I press JK than if I have to go all the way to my escape key, because escape is kind of far away from everything else on the keyboard, right? It's all the way in the top left. So if I'm typing, I want to edit, instead of going escape, deleting, right? I just go this, I just go type JK, and I can enter, normal one, right? Because my finger is already there, right? If you're typing, your fingers are not gonna be in the top left corner near escape. It's gonna be on home row. That's where JK is. It's very fast. So these are just key maps where if I go control and one of the basic motions, I can move across files. So for example here, I move my cursor across files very quick. This is just a key map leader, whatever bracket. It's just for going going back in like history pretty much. So if I search right now with telescope, I go to my to do this file to do. If I go here, press leader, leader back or opening square brace, it will go back to this file. If I press closing brace, it will go forward to this to do file, right? So it goes back in time pretty much, right? It goes back and forward some motions. This Control D. So Control D is another motion I didn't go over in my last video, but it moves down pretty much like half a page, right? It moves down. Control U moves up, Control D moves down. As I've binded to press the same motion, but also with 2 Zs, which centers the page. So if my cursor is kind of up here, if I press Z twice, it'll center my cursor. So this is what this does. Same thing with N. If I press N to search something, it will make it centered. So it will make my cursor centered. Same thing with capital N, which goes back my search. This is sort of just a really long key map, but what it does is if I select something and I press N, it will make my thing search for that word. And I'm pretty sure Neovim, it just got this feature. If I press, let's say, I'm pretty sure it's Control A or the asterisk, it will search for the word. The only difference is that, let's say we copy this whole line, you'll see that I have this copied. If I search with my thing, I can search, we'll still have whatever this thing copied, right? If I copy this again, if I use like the built-in Neovim thing, which is asterisk, if I do this, you'll see that I have the no remap here copied. So this just makes it so I can search for something that I have highlighted without actually copying the thing, which is something like a weird interaction. There's a key map I have to resize the window. I'll be real, I'm trying to get this actually figured out, but usually it's a bit of a weird key binding, because now I can resize the window, but it's sort of different depending on the window I'm in. So I'm trying to still figure this one out, so let's ignore that one. Stacking text. This one I actually don't use. So most of these, if you see D or something, this is for the command key with macOS. And technically I can't even use these because right now I'm using the terminal that doesn't even process this input. So let's just ignore this, but it's for different interactions, like let's say copying text from the system and actually pasting it in Neovim. So that's something that I don't have to worry about now, since with the terminal emulator it just works, right? If I copy something outside, I press Control V, it just works. So I don't need these keybinds now. This keybind is just for built-in terminal, so I don't know why this is this shell, but it opens up a terminal pretty much. So I press leader T. And then this keymap is so if I wanted to escape or go into normal mode inside of the terminal, I can do it by pressing Control C twice. And this is again something that I needed when I was using like a graphical version of Neovim, but now I don't actually need to use this. Alright, and these are some key bindings for like the writing plugins. For example, this one, that set spell, it just toggles whether or not it uses like the Neovim uses like spell check. So yeah. Not gonna go over that too much. So these are some more keymaps for plugins. So leader tab, it just toggles this file tree. Leader CO, it opens this menu days before that picks colors. CC, it toggles whether or not like you can see the color here. Right, if you CC again, you'll see that it doesn't show the color it has. If I CC, it'll show the color. So yeah. Same thing with leader U, shows the undo tree. Leader GG, it opens up NeoGit, of course, and then leader M, it just runs Neo format. And I have this binding to V no remap as well, just in case, let's say I have some code here and here. If I press leader M, it formats it all. Let's say I just want to format this part, I press leader M, and it should only format that part. It might be different for, dang. It should only format one part, but I guess for Lua format it's a bit different. Anyways, it should just format that one part. This keymap, it's for this keymap, it like let's say I have this V no remap copied. If I let's say paste something, well, I have it copied. If I paste now, it has deleted the thing that I pasted over, and now in my paste buffer it will have the thing that I deleted, right? Let's say that I wanted to keep the thing that I originally copied, so leader, if I copy here, let's say I don't want it to copy V no remap here when I copy over it, and I wanted to keep my leader that I have copied right now, press leader P, and now I still have leader copied. So this is what this keymap does. This one as well, just for capital P. This keymap here, RP, when I press leader RP, it will select the word that I'm on and have like a search and replace for the file. So I replace leader with whatever, right? Whoops, and it goes that thing, right? So it opens the search and replace. Leader W just, does : W enter, right? I just have this just Sometimes I like leader W instead of having to type the whole thing, even though it's not that much faster. Same thing with leader Q, just quits the file, even though I could do this. Let's say I'm in here, leader Q, just close to the file. Leader control O, that's a keybind I have. It just opens the current file that I'm in. Sometimes this is useful if I have like an HTML file. I just want to open it in Chrome. I just run leader control O, it'll open the file, right? And in whatever default thing my system opens it. We won't go over this. This is just some key bindings that to run or build files. And you'll see me sometimes use these when I'm doing leak code. Currently, I have it set up where it works with like C++ and Rust, but yeah. And these are some key bindings for my plugin that will just increase the size of the fonts or change the font that I'm currently using. But yeah. Again, not using these right now because I'm using Neovim in the terminal. Sometimes I'd use Neovim, which is like a GUI for Vim, but not using that right now. So those are some of Keymaps. I also have a bunch of other Keymaps for plugins like this. For this Conquer completion, I have Keymap to rename, to find implementation, find reference, and find definition. And a bunch of other plugins, like for let's say Harpoon, I have just this binded to leader and whatever number, and it will go to that file. So my first number, my first file, second file, third file marked, right? I'll go there. And I have a bunch of other like telescope. I have it binded to leader P. It will go find files. Leader X to find like words, and leader B to find buffers. So buffers again, it's just like recently opened files pretty much. And I have some LSP config. Again, I'm using 2 plugins to handle like the LSP. I have 2 LSPs running for some like languages. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't recommend this. I would just use Conquer completion or LSP. Right? Just do one or the other. Don't do both. All right. And that's pretty much it for the Keymap.